Alright, listen, I'm gonna get some flack for this, but sometimes you sit down at a commander table strictly to have fun. Alright man, listen, I was chatting to one of my buddies after laying out this entire deck idea for someone, an interesting, mechanically unique idea. The person I was talking to had the temerity, the unmitigated audacity, to ask me what the win condition was. Listen, I had to admit in that moment, I hadn't really considered it. I figured if the idea was good enough, that was kind of a victory in and of itself. If the deck was fun to pilot, and you get to do all kinds of fun things, then that's the true spirit of Commander, dude, the true heart of the cards, Yu-Gi-Oh! Anyways, after that conversation, I put some generic win conditions in there. So listen, if you like videos about cards, if you like card videos, if videos like you cards to watch, then like, subscribe, tell me what you're wearing in the comments. Listen, I'm going to call this guy Cirdan. Somebody's going to get on the comments and they're like, well, actually, I speak Elvish and it's pronounced blah, blah, blah. In the last years of the Third Age, Cirdan appeared very old, save for his eyes, which were as keen as stars. He wore a long beard. Likely he had grown a beard since having reached his third cycle of life, dude. Just like old Nicky G, dude, I'm in my fourth, fifth cycle right now. So fresh out of Lord of the Rings Commander, you have Cirdan the Shipwright. 3 green and a blue for a legendary creature, elf noble. It's a 3/4 with vigilance. Has Secret Council. Whenever this guy enters the battlefield or attacks, each player secretly votes for a player, then the votes are revealed. Each player draws a card for each vote they received. Each player who received no votes may put a permanent card from their hand onto the battlefield. Okay, listen, this is a fun, value-centered commander that seems like a group hug deck at first, but it's not, dude. In any case, this is a $50 deck from scratch, not including the cost of the commander or basics. This is a perfect mechanic to center a budget deck around. Let's wargame this. Alright, let's take scenario number 1. Everybody picks themselves. Everyone draws 1 card. It seems pretty innocuous. Then you have scenario 2. Everyone else votes for themselves, and you vote for Dingle the Pringle over there. 2 opponents draw a card, Dingle Dangle draws 2, and you put out a value 7 drop. Scenario 3. You condition people to vote for you because they just saw you put out a 7 drop. Say the Lord of Change or something like that, then you're drawing 3 cards anyways. So if they all vote for you, you're drawing 3 cards. Heck, vote for yourself, draw 4 cards. Then we have scenario number 4. After a few turns of this, people are going to get frustrated and confused and just get half the votes for you, half the votes for Dingle the Pringle. Half the time you get 1, half the time you get none. It devolves into a chaotic mess. Scenario 5, people are essentially motivated just to draw themselves an extra card. They don't want to see Donnie Dingleberry drawing 2 and you drawing 2 and them stuck with a handful of non-permanents, so they'll just vote for themselves. So incrementally, you've built your deck to take advantage of all of these situations in classic Simic fashion. For you, drawing cards is great, and cheating out a fat creature is great. Your deck is full of them, full of big permanents. So what are the easiest things to do in Commander in Simic? Well, Simic has stupid ramp and card advantage, so you just build into those strengths and enter the battlefield effects, and guess what, dude? We got ourselves a deck. Now, the goal of this deck is to outvalue your opponents. We're going to do this with Blink Shenanigans, dude. There are 7 or 8 cheap Blink spells in blue that we can use, Ghostly Flicker kind of being the prototype, so we can flicker our commander and whatever other value pieces we have out there. This deck wants to go big, so there's a lot of permanent base ramp. Cards like Overgrowth, 2 and a green for an enchantment or enchant land. Whenever enchanted land is tapped for mana, its controller adds an additional green. You also have Enter the Battlefield ramp like Llanowar Visionary, fantastic card that goes in a ton of decks, and Topiary Stomper, 1 green for a creature, plant dinosaur. It's a 4/4 with vigilance. When this guy enters the battlefield, search your library for a basic land card, put it onto the battlefield, tap, then shuffle. Topiary Stomper can't attack or block unless you control 7 or more lands. We also have a voting mechanic, so let's lean into that a little bit. We got Plea for Power, it's got Will of the Council. Starting with you, each player votes for time or knowledge. If time gets more votes, take an extra turn after this one. If knowledge gets more votes or the vote is tied, draw 3 cards. Then we have Illusion of Choice, 1 blue for an instant. You choose how each player votes this turn, draw a card. You combine those 2 together, dude, or you combine them with your commander, you can do whatever you want. It's a fun little card that lets us either draw 4 or cheat out a fatty if we can blink our commander or we can attack with them. And definitely we want to draw some cards, dude. So how about Sphinx of Bethune? 5 blue for a creature Sphinx, it's a 5/6 with flying. When it enters the battlefield, reveal the top 5 cards of your library. An opponent separates those cards into 2 piles, put 1 pile into your hand and the other into your graveyard. I use this card in so many budget decks, dude. This guy's buff as hell, right? And he learned the fact or fiction of the universe, and he can do it on ETB, brother. And we already mentioned the Lord of Change. He's just a demonic bird. He draws us cards in the night, dude. He's the Uber Eats of card draw, buddy. Oh man, don't get this guy mad. It's the Inspired Sphinx. It's just looking over at you like, excuse me, are you trying to take my catnip and my bucks, you fool? Draw 3 cards, you idiot. Oh man, don't forget about Mole Drifter, dude. What a sweet card, my friend. This has been ETBing for a long time in Commander. Soul of the Harvest is another one of these underrated cards. This is a respectable 6/6 trampler. It triggers off of every blink. Every time you blink a thing, it comes into the battlefield, dude. Or if we cheat out a card. Fantastic in this deck. Look at this hot little Commander classic. You got Prime Speaker Zagana. 2 green, blue for a legendary creature, Merfolk Wizard. It's a 1/1. Prime Speaker Zagana enters the battlefield with X +1/+1 counters on it, where X is the greatest power among other creatures you control. When this thing enters the battlefield, draw cards equal to its power, dude. I love the old Prime Speaker. This thing draws so many cards, dude. Classic Battlecruiser Commander card. And there's a bunch of other ones in there as well. So listen, we want to double up these ETBs as much as possible, so Bramble Sovereign is a must. It's 2 green for a creature, Dryad, it's a 4/4. Whenever another non-token creature enters the battlefield, you may pay 1 and a green. If you do, that creature's controller creates a token that's a copy of that creature. This is only a couple bucks. The full art, which I find oddly attractive, alright, is cheaper than the standard version. And listen, this is the deck for Panharmonicon. It's an amazing card, still only $5 or so. So it's 4 generic mana for an artifact. If an artifact creature entering the battlefield causes a triggered ability of a permanent you control to trigger, that ability triggers an additional time. Now this guy is a Shipwright, so you have to include a ship, dude. You got the Golden Argosy, 4 generic mana for a legendary artifact vehicle. It's a 3/6. Whenever this thing attacks, exile each creature that crewed it this turn, return them to the battlefield tapped under their owner's control at the beginning of the next end step. Has crew 1. This card is stupid, right? We get all those little value pieces out and use them to crew this old ship, and our dude Cirdan is a Shipwright anyways. That's the flavor of the sea, dude. We may also want to just cheat some creatures into play with cards like Elvish Piper. This is a staple that just got reprinted. This was like a $6-8 card. It's down to $1.66 for a limited time only, dude. Look at this beautiful lady just piping in the woods, dude. I'd follow this lady around through the trees, brother. And then you got Champion of Aronis, 3 and a green for a creature, Jackal Warrior. It's a 3/3. You may exert it as it attacks. When you do, put a creature card from your hand onto the battlefield. This guy's out there, he's got a dog head, right? And he's stabbing your pet iguana right in the neck, dude. Classic. So what are some control and interaction elements we can use on a budget? Well, the standard ones are all here, dude, but we got Manglehorn. I don't know why everybody gets all excited about Reclamation Sage when you got the Mangler out there. 2 and a green for a creature beast. When it enters the battlefield, you may destroy target artifact. Artifacts your opponent's control enter the battlefield tapped. And then you have Acidic Slime. This can be such a house in a deck like this. Just get out there and it's slime time, dude. This is your silver bullet. This thing's been reprinted a literal 23 times and I'm still sticking it in budget decks. Now we can also mess up our opponents with creature-based counter spells that they won't see coming. The great thing about these guys is that you can blink them at instant speed. You have Mystic Snake, 1 green blue for a creature snake. It's a 2/2 with flash. When it enters the battlefield, counter target spell. This guy and his weird cousin, the Frilled Mystic, is out there. He's green blue for a creature, Elf Lizard Wizard. He's the Lizard Wizard, and he's a 3/2 with flash. When he enters the battlefield, you may counter target spell. This guy's a lizard, just like your favorite president, Joe Biden, dude. He's a lizard person. Reptilians have a base on the dark side of the moon. You ever wonder why you don't see the dark side of the moon, brother? Oh man, the Scourge of Fleets, so we're going right back to our sea theme, dude. 5 blue for a creature, Kraken, it's a 6/6. When this guy enters the battlefield, return each creature your opponent's control with toughness X or less to its owner's hand, where X is the number of islands you control. Is that a Kraken over there ordering at Starbucks? Sir, that's not a Kraken, that's my wife. Well, that Mocha Frappa Yaya Latte is 1100 calories, dude, so take it easy. I don't know. Then we got the old Sludge Monster. That's how my 6th grade English teacher referred to me all through 6th grade, dude. 3 blue for a creature horror, it's a 5/5. Whenever it enters the battlefield or attacks, put a slime counter on up to 1 other target creature. Non-horror creatures with slime counters on them lose all abilities and have base power and toughness 2/2. This bad boy 16 cents, and late game can lock down the board, dude. People always underestimate this guy because he's a little sludgy wudgy. If he was cute, he'd be getting all the girls. The Mind Flayer. 3 blue for a creature horror, it's a 3/3. Has Dominate Monster. When this guy enters the battlefield, gain control of target creature for as long as you control Mind Flayer. Is the Sower of Temptation better? Yeah, but this is a $50 budget deck, dude. Yeah, we have to settle for my least favorite enemy from Bloodborne, the old brain sucker here. If you want to get real fancy, put out the showcase version. This guy's wearing a whole damn buffet right on his head. So listen man, we want to win eventually. So what are some pieces we can use to catapult our value? Well, we have Psychosis Crawler, 5 generic mana for an artifact creature, Phyrexian Horror, it's a star. Power and toughness each equal to the number of cards in your hand. Whenever you draw a card, each opponent loses 1 life. That's high school, brother. You're just adding more brains until the secret of the serum gets solved, dude. Late game, we can just draw a grip of cards, house the table. Oh my gosh, dude, the old Drake. 4 and a blue for a creature Drake, it's a 2/3 with flying. When it enters the battlefield, untap up to 5 lands. This card allows us to really go off with the aforementioned cards. If you want to get real nasty, combo this with Deadeye Navigator, but we don't really have an outlet for that infinite mana anyway in this $50 deck. How about the old Progenitor Mimic? 4 green and a blue for a creature Shapeshifter, it's a 0/0, but you may have it enter the battlefield as a copy of any creature on the battlefield. Except it has at the beginning of your upkeep, if this creature isn't a token, create a token that's a copy of this creature. Another classic commander card from a bygone era, dude. This weird Power Rangers reject on the art demands a real answer from your opponents or you're sphinxing every dang turn. How about Obama of the East Tree? 4 green for a legendary creature spirit, it's a 6/6 with a reach. Whenever another permanent enters the battlefield under your control, if it wasn't put onto the battlefield with this ability, you may put a permanent card with equal or lesser mana value from your hand onto the battlefield. This is absolutely absurd. Throwing Kodama of the East Tree, this goes crazy with just about anything. Just don't run this deck out against Elish Norn, Mother of Machines, dude. That just hoses your whole deck. Anyways, I think Cirdan is a fun throwback to how we used to build commander decks in the old days. We would pick a bunch of fat battlecruiser cards with ETB effects, see how many we could cheat out. Cirdan adds little mind games to the mix. It makes for a fun, explosive, interesting deck that can be built on a strict budget. Sometimes you just have to have fun. That's it. Just have fun with your friends. Sometimes you don't need a low-down combo deck, dude. Just a fun pile that can sit and have fun at any table with the potential to really go off. Plus your friends will like this deck because they're drawing cards left and right, they're putting out permanents, they're having a good time, dude. Anyways, I thought I'd throw a lighthearted deck out there. Everybody calm down, alright? Everybody's so serious all the time. You're all mining for the one ring, you're mining crypto coin, but you're not going to find it in collector packs, alright? This is Nikki G from Better Commander. Lighten up, you dingus. Signing off.